Brothers in Bitcoin, welcome back to the channel. Guys, Bitcoin is bullish. You're probably looking at the charts and saying that how can Bitcoin possibly be bullish? Here's why. Expectations for the Federal Reserve's next interest rate hike at its upcoming meeting in September have shifted following the minutes that was released from the Fed's July meeting. Ahead of the release, traders have been evenly divided between an increase of 50 basis points and an increase of 75 basis points according to the CME Group. As we go through this, I want you to keep this in mind. So in March 17, 2022, we had 25 basis points, May 5th, 50 basis points, June 16th, 75, and then July 75 basis points. The Fed officials signaled that while they would continue to hike rates to bring down inflation, it would likely be appropriate at some point to slow the pace of policy rate increases. Some officials indicated that once the policy rate had reached a sufficiently restrictive level, it would be appropriate to maintain that level for some time to ensure that inflation was firmly on the path back to the Fed's target rate of 2%. We look to the bond market. Bond prices are inversely related to interest rates. And so what that means is when interest rates goes up, bond prices go down. Vice versa, when interest rates go down, bond prices go up. Why do we look at bond prices? Because bonds are issued by governments and corporations. When you think about governments and corporations, these are the people who run the financial system, as we know, right? And the other thing is that bond prices and stocks are generally correlated to one another. So when bond prices either go up or down, usually stocks will eventually follow suit. In addition to the sentiment that we're getting from the previous Fed meeting, we can also see it in the commodity market. So if we take a look at here, uh, energy futures, you can see it in the cost of oil. You can see where oil peaked here, June 9, 2022, and has since been making lower highs, lower lows, right? The other thing that we can see it in is the cost of food. You can even see it when you go to the grocery store, right? When you purchasing your groceries, maybe it's not as cheap as it was once was, but you can kind of see some sort of relief as you go to the grocery stores, as you go into the pump to get gas, things like that. Here's a couple other things. What we have: wheat, soybean, corn, sugar. This is on the CNBC.com website, so if you wanted to take a look at that just to kind of see how things actually progressed, how things has been going down, you can take a look at that. But the overall trend, when it comes to sentiment coming from the Fed, when we look at the numbers of commodities, when we see how bonds and stocks are inversely correlated to interest rates, and how as interest rates goes down, this is more bullish for bonds and stocks. Now, you may also be asking, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Because as you may know, that in recent times, that Bitcoin and the stock market are very closely correlated. So this means as interest rates are going down, again, the dollar will spill into stocks as well as cryptocurrencies. In addition to all of these different things, we have a big political event that's occurring, which is midterm elections. And so usbank.com, they had an analyst that studied the Bloomberg market data from the past 60 years. Here's the stock market performance in midterm election years. So stock market performance during midterm election years can be separated into two categories. You have pre-midterm election and post-midterm election. The pre-midterm election stock market performance, the S&P index has historically underperformed in the year leading up to midterms. So when we're talking about performance, here is a chart of the S&P 500. Let me just zoom out a little bit here just to kind of give you some context on what I'm talking about. We peaked here at December 28th of 2021, making lower highs, lower lows, until we recently just flipped. And I'm going to get back to that point. We recently flipped in the recent months, which was August, when we flipped bullish. But you can see where leading up to midterms, how poorly the S&P performed, right? And then recently we just flipped. The post-midterm election stock market performance election is very different story. Historically, it outperformed the market in the 12-month period after midterm election. So keep this in mind. Election date is November 1st of 2022, right? And so we recently had this huge rally in the market, and just over the past couple of days or so that we've been taking a little breather. So if you think about it, if you were walking, you probably can walk for a longer period. But if you were running or sprinting, you would have to take a break. And right, and if you're paying attention to the market on a daily like we are, then you would know that the prices of stocks had went soaring, right, over the last couple of weeks or so. And so this midterm election stock market performance since 1962. So this goes all the way back to 62. You're talking about John F. Kennedy, right? We have Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, uh, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, right? The list goes on. Barack Obama, up until 2018, Donald Trump. So you can see on a historical basis how stocks perform leading up to midterm elections and then post midterm elections. And so, what am I saying? What I'm saying is what we're seeing right now within the market, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's stocks, what have you, what we're seeing is a brief pullback before we actually move higher. And so what I'm seeing here is that Bitcoin has been on this brief uptrend. What I believe we are experiencing is a liquidity event, right? And so the price will have to go down and we have to clear these order books in order for us to go higher. So I am under the assumption that what's going to happen is over the next couple months, let's say between September and October, the price of stocks and cryptos are probably going to bleed out, right? We're going to probably seem like that we're not going to come to an end. However, what I think again is that the market is just going to do maintenance. We're going to clear these order books, and then we're going to eventually make our way to higher highs. And specifically, I'm aiming at a $30,000 Bitcoin. That's going to be around October, November, going into December towards the end of the year, where generally, seasonality wise, the stock market and crypto have what is called a Santa Claus rally. So, putting everything into perspective, what should we be doing? We need to be buying, right? You should have already been buying. And this is not financial advice, but here's what I'm doing. I'm dollar cost averaging, but also taking advantage of short-term income trades as the market goes up and goes down, right? Dollar cost averaging meaning that you set a certain amount and then you just keep it on repeat, repeat, repeat until you have accumulated a certain amount. So, guys, does this paint the bullish scenario for Bitcoin and what we're going to be experiencing? Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm Tim Ford. Till the next time, out.